Well, hello everyone. We're at episode 41. We're going to be talking about our first Paul Young misheard lyric. It's his song Every Time You Go Away. And the misheard lyric is Every time you go away, you take a piece of meat with you. And the correct lyrics, of course, is Every time you go away, you take a piece of me with you. Well, I'm telling you, I'm a carnivore through and through. I actually call myself a meatitarian. And so when I heard this song or this misheard lyric back in the early, or actually mid 80s, I was a young teenager and I thought, of course, you always take meat with you, so it made sense. This is another misheard song that we're doing today that was actually written by someone else, and Paul Young covered it and actually made it more popular than its debut. We did this in our first episode with Laura Branigan's song. I mean, for years I thought she was the only one that sang Gloria, and we find out later that it's actually an Italian love song, sung by some Italian artists, and she covered it. They kind of added some American flair, and the rest is history. So let's talk about who Paul Young covered it from. Every Time You Go Away is a song written and composed by none other than Daryl Hall of John Oates. So it was first recorded in 1980 by the American duo Hall and Oates, and was not released as a single. And what happened was English Paul Singer helped make the song, of course, more popular, and it became an international hit in 1985, so mid 80s. So I was about roughly about 12, 13. Now let's talk about Paul Young. His name is Paul Anthony Young. He was born on January 17th, 1956, so I guess that makes him an Aquarius. He is an English singer. He's also a songwriter and musician. He's formerly the front man of a short-lived, or a couple short-lived bands, one called Cat Cool and the Cool Cats, and Street Band and Q-Tips. He actually did very well mostly on his own as a solo artist, and that's when I knew about him as Paul Young, and kind of was looked at as a teen idol in 1985 because I remember him on the MTV. His hit singles include Love of the Common People, Wherever I Lay My Hat, Come Back and Stay, Every Time You Go Away, Everything Must Change, and all of them are reaching the top 10 of the UK single charts, and of course some with Every Time You Go Away with the American charts. It was released back in 1983. His debut album, called No Parler, or French for No Frills, was the first of three UK number one albums that made him a household name. No Parler is his debut solo studio album, and it was released in 1983. It remained number one in the UK albums chart for a non consecutive total of 5 weeks, so off and on, and remained in the UK top 100 for 119 weeks. It's like over 2 years. The album has been certified triple platinum by the BPI, which I looked it up. It's the British Phonographic Industry, for UK sales in excess of 900,000 copies. Now, Paul Young was known for his soulful and smooth voice, which I can still hear it now, and he belonged to a genre which is called or dubbed blue-eyed soul. Now, remember, that sounds familiar if you've been tracking all our episodes. We talked about that genre back in episode 19, so way back since we're in 41 now, with the Bee Gees. So I decided to look up at Wikipedia and say, what really is blue-eyed soul? So what they say is blue-eyed soul, aka known as white soul, is rhythm and blues and soul music performed by white artists. Okay, the term was coined in the mid 1960s to describe white artists perform soul and R&B that was similar to the music of Motown and what they say Stax record labels. Though many rhythm and blues radio stations in the U.S. in that period would only play music by black musicians, some began to play music by white acts considered to have that soul feeling, and their music was then described as blue-eyed soul. So there you go. And then at the 1985 Brit Awards, Young received the award for British or Best British Male, associated with the second British invasion of the U.S., which the first, of course, is the Beatles. Young's version hit number one on the Billboard Hot 100 on July 27, 1985. That's when I heard it, and was one of the two top 10 hits Young had in the U.S. pop singles chart. The second being Paul Young's 1990 cover of Oh Girl by the She Lights. And funny thing about this Oh Girl song, I just realized reading it, that is the month and year that song was made popular on our charts in the U.S. when I was born. So there's a connection there. Every Time You Go Away topped the U.S. adult contemporary chart for 2 weeks. The song peaked at number 4 in the UK, where of course Mr. Paul Young is from, his home country, and the song won British Video of the Year at the 1986 Brit Awards. So it did very well for a cover, so that's great. And then in July 1985, another big thing happened around music, and me being a young music lover was big because it was the first of its kind. He actually appeared at Live Aid, which I've talked about in several episodes. With some of the episodes I talked about, um, the Queen episode and others, at Wembley Stadium. So he performed in London because remember it was done in multiple locations, and he performed the Band Aid hit called "Do They Know It's Christmas," and he's known for singing the opening lines. And his own hits, "Come Back and Stay" and "Every Time You Go Away," with Alison Moyet, who I love. I love Alison Moyet, and joining him on stage to perform "That's the Way Love Is." And then since the mid 1990s, Young has performed with his band Los Pacaminos. Um, Back in '84, it was kind of also not only the best year for him. I mean, he was doing well successfully on the charts, selling things, but he also was having what any singer, even to this day, would never want to have. He was singing a lot, and so what happened is when he was in the beginning of launching his first heavy promotional tour and live concert in America, he strained his vocal cords severely. So much so that he was advised and actually forced to rest his voice and did not sing for much of the year, which is kind of scary. I know Adele had like a polyp scare, and you don't want to lose that velvet voice. According to a December 11th, 2014 Digital Spy online article written by an individual by the name of Alex Fletcher called, and this is what the name of the article was, 14 pop-tastic tales you probably never knew about the original Band-Aid. Supposedly, the opening lines that Paul Young sang was actually supposed to be done by David Bowie, and I could not find why David Bowie couldn't do it. I don't know if he had some kind of scheduling conflict or what. So they actually went to Paul Young and said, "Could you do it?" And his famous song or voice is in that, not only the opening lines but throughout the song. And he actually performed that same track at Live Aid 2 in 1985. Now remember, for some of you youngins who don't know, Live Aid was that star-studded project charity put together by Bob Geldof of Boomtown Rats and Midge Ure for Ethiopian famine relief. And I remember that because that was the first of its kind of multiple sing artists banding together before all the other, Farm Aid and, all We Are the World came out. And again, he sings the first two opening lines of the song before Boy George sings his famous lines. So there you go. It's a great song. It's one of two of his famous ones in the U.S. And I just love Paul Young, and I looked him up recently. If you haven't looked him up or look him up, Google is amazing. You can also see the video on YouTube, and it holds well. And he's fun, and I can see why he was a cutie back then. That he was a teen idol for some of us that were growing up. So if you have any great examples or ideas for future misheard songs, please let us know, and we'd love to hear from you. Bye!